Hey, everybody. I am Captain Tommy Scoville, and you're on the lifeboat. And look what I found.
Look what he found. It's been so long, Tommy, since we've talked.
It's been weeks, hasn't it? It feels like
It's
it's
been
been
a
a very
long
long time.
it's been a long time. It's been a long
We
time.
could
I hope
drop
there's
the
people in here.
last year joke.
Hmm? Oh yeah.
Said
Yeah, that's
it
kind of
was
dad
like
humor.
a year ago, the last time we were live. Are you doing? What are you snorting? Something?
I am. Peppermint oil.
You're on the lifeboat. We have a thing about snorting stuff on this channel.
Oh, I have a
It's just.
really bad headache.
I'm
And it's
sorry to
getting
hear that. I heard that when I was on your channel earlier. I have the same kind of stuff, but I can't find it. Where is it? I do the same thing. What are you sniffing? What kind of oil is it?
it's just pure peppermint oil.
Peppermint.
And
Cool.
it helps. Like it's kind of temporary help, but it just feels it just kind of takes away. It's bad. My headache is actually getting worse, and I just took an Advil again, and so I'm ready to rock and roll. It'll kick in. Something's gonna
I
kick
don't want to
in.
hear that. That's
Yeah.
facts. You know what? I'm going into Nightmare Alley this evening. Just share that with the crew. You know what? I didn't time my my purchase of my sleeping stuff that I've been using. So like I let it go down because I'm an idiot and a guy, and I let it get down to the last one today, and I'm like, wow, you know what? I mean, last night was the last one I ate, so I thought, well, I'll just go get them today. And apparently, you can't go to those type of establishments on the first of the year; they all close down. So tonight I'm going to be flying blind, and I've been sleeping really well with those, so I'm a little stressed out about it. I'm not going to lie, I'm a little stressed out. Did you bring your coat?
I did.
I'm just going to ask you before someone else does because it's going to come up.
Did you bring yours?
Maybe it might be in the closet. I usually keep it fairly close by. I usually keep it fairly close by.
I'm kind of feeling it. I'm feeling it with the coats. I had such a good day. We're not going to do that though. We're not going to do that. Why does this happen every time we start a live? He gets a giant.
You know what it is? Yeah, it's a testosterone thing. He knows that, there's a dude in the house and he's showing off. I got a little bass in my voice. I'm telling you, it's an alpha dog thing. He's like, this is my house. Check out the bone. I'll drop it. I'll make noise with it. That's what it is.
Okay. Well, as long as we've identified it, but we're going to have to kick him out. That's not going to fly. That's not going to work. Anyway. Yes, yeah. I have my coat. Yeah. Bo, go on. Get your bone and get out of here. Go on. Okay. So sorry.
Do you know what's funny? I think I should tell everybody this because I thought it was really, really funny. When I said that I had a fur coat and I was showing my fur coat off, Reese went, "You're not going to believe this, but I have the exact same coat." So when I went over and saw that she was live today and I saw the sequin, I texted her and said, "You're not going to believe this, but I have that exact same top." We can do the twinsy we can do the twinsy thing again tonight, but I didn't get a text back because I was ready to roll. But since I didn't get it, I'm not putting on the sequence because I did have it laid out. It's actually
right that's there. Kind of too bad. I feel like it would really make your face and porn stash pop.
It would get rid of the neck. I do this one for photos. I just got to do this number. Yeah, or you drop the chin. Oh yeah, look, it's the 60-something neck. I just got it in the 40s because, well, it did actually show up in the 40s. I'm not in my 40s, but
I feel that way, but I don't have that yet. But I have chub. I'm just chubby, so I kind of do that because I'm fat right there.
You don't have chub.
I find myself talking like that all the time now that you mention it.
Do you know what's really funny? You know what's really funny? I think this is funny. I was just having fun hanging out there yesterday. That's what I was doing.
I was going to say, why is that funny?
Well, that was just fun. I'll take the thanks, but I really dig hanging out over on your channel. I really do. The sleep aids that I take, the sleep aid that I take is a cannabis product. I've tried everything else on the market. Nothing worked. I don't have a problem sleeping. It's a strange situation. It's a PTSD thing. I don't have a problem sleeping. I have a problem not having a bad dream. So it's worked with THC, and that's what I was hoping to pick up today. I don't do any of the big pharma stuff on it anymore because so much of what they write I can get addicted to in an hour. I just really have that capacity, and most of the sleep stuff that they give you is pretty heavy. So
It makes me so sad, you guys, that he has these dreams. I wish that I had some kind of a cure for that. It makes me very sad.
Well, I appreciate that you would like to cure. It's been happening since 2013, and it goes in waves. It goes away, and then it comes. But I was in the middle of a really ugly wave when I tried this stuff, and the person that wrote to me literally has been writing to me for a year and a half, just saying, you know what? Now, by way of full disclosure, I couldn't have done it a year and a half ago because of the probation and all that. The federal government has a zero tolerance policy. You fail a drug test, you're going back. That's right. Keep that stuff 80'd.
Oh, I know.
80s,
Well,
80s.
I'm trying. Like, this is like day 3 or 4, and it's got a lot of dry shampoo in it. And honestly, I like that more. When I wash my hair, it won't do this. It's too clean. So like, there's a lot of texture spray in my hair right now. So I kind of like that.
Yeah, I dig it.
Do you? Yeah, I'm into it.
Yeah.
It's kind of Lions Mane, isn't it?
I could see that. Yeah.
Yeah.
It harkens to every single hot chick in every 80s movie ever made. All of them.
Yeah. Well,
none of them did not have big hair. None of them. It was a great
What?
time to be alive.
Why has
It
that
really
gone
was.
away? I love big hair.
Why did acid wash go away? Acid wash was awesome. Go ahead and mock me. Acid wash was awesome. I loved acid wash.
It's kind of back.
Yeah, but why is the dream always the same? Because I'm just reliving something I saw. That's what that is.
And that's been going on for years, right?
It's been going on since 2013, since October 17th, 2013. That's when it started. Well, that's when the incident was. Blake, you're right. And if you want to go round all that up, I will give you my address at the end. If you just swing that by, you could also bring maybe, I don't know, a dozen donuts. Have you ever seen the kind that crunch, like the crunchy things? You know what I'm talking about? No, it doesn't sound good when you hear it, because I made the same face when someone said it to me, because a crunchy donut sounds gross, but they're the greatest things in the entire world. And Jessica says, sorry, PTSD night terrors are no joke. I've been living with them for 5 years. THC is a godsend. I'm sorry, go ahead.
Do you take baths?
Do I take baths? I take hot tubs. I haven't been in a bath in probably 2 decades. It's been a long time since I've been in a bath, but I take hot tubs pretty routinely.
Dry shampoo, Moroccan oil, all the way, Jan. Hey, well, the reason I ask is Blake is kind of right there. What does Reese think about? What does Scientology think about other religions? I'd like to answer that sometime.
How about answering it right now? That's an excellent
You should
question.
take an Epsom salt bath. That is so. But isn't your pool like salt water? Maybe it's the same thing. I don't know. I like an Epsom salt bath myself, especially.
Do you know what? Without using anything to drug myself to sleep, I actually got knocked out by a Scientologist, and there was magnesium, and there was all kinds of other stuff, and a really vicious. I went and got a vicious massage that day too. And that was a day that without any substances or whatever, like I had a really good, legitimate night's sleep. I had no nightmares, no nothing, but they happen so infrequently that I can remember the days that I don't have them. So it's become an issue. And when I was deep in it, I was losing weight like you wouldn't believe. And I had big black, like circles under my eyes. And it's just, when you don't dream, really things are bad.
I'm just really
like
sad.
That sucks.
It's like I'm
okay.
really,
Now tell me about what does Scientology think about religions? Because I actually really want to hear your take on this.
I don't know. It's not that interesting of an answer, and I'm just really digging. I'm trying to dig and figure out how to help Tommy with his nightmares. I mean, I can only speak for how I was brought up. So my dad was very anti any other religion. He made fun of other religions. He didn't like gay people. It was just very guys. So I don't really know. I know how it was in my house growing up, and it was there is no God. He would make fun of the stories in the Bible, which I don't know the Bible stories, but he was raised that way. His mother was very religious. So it was frowned upon and it was made fun of, I would say. And I just so you guys know, I actually never felt that way. I can remember from a very young age, my dad being very anti-gay people, and I have the same opinion now that I had then, which was very live and let live. I always thought, why? Why? Like, why do we not like someone because of who they love? I always felt that way. I never agreed with that way of thinking, even when I was little. And it kind of makes sense now growing into who I am, right? Because I was married to someone 60 years older than me. So I'm very like,
Yes.
whoever you fall in love with is who you fall in love with. Like, what is that man and man or woman and woman or what have you? I just kind of think, who gives a crap, right? I mean, it seems like a
It's just
waste.
never, well, it's never been my business. You know what I mean? Like,
That's
I got so
true.
much crap going on in my life. Why would I care what someone else is sleeping with or praying to or anything else? Like,
Or what
there's
color.
so much that makes us the same, that we, but you know what happened, Reese? This is my humble opinion. You can tell me if you think I'm crazy, but what I think happened is, going back about 2 decades, 2.5 decades, we fractured as a country. And it really came down to advertising, as disgusting as it is. It came down to advertising, and they did this red blue thing, and they started to divide us into the smallest groups that they can. And it's the same thing that Scientology does. In all honesty, right? It's the same thing
Yeah,
any cult does. If you can
division.
get the groups into little groups that only believe the same thing, and you have echo chambers, it's great. YouTube, especially in long form, the crap that we do, gives people an opportunity to hear stuff they'd never hear, right? Listen to people that they probably would never listen to. And you start to realize that these people that are coming in and doing super chats from Russia, they're dealing with the exact same stresses and addictions that we are, right? It doesn't matter what part of the world you're from. It's we're all the same. And I think it's cool, but I don't think a lot of people do what we do either, Reese. I think that the kind of format we do tends to bring people in like this. I don't think a lot of stuff does what we do. I think this is unique.
Oh, I think we connect people for sure. And I have said that I was just having the best conversation. One of my favorite things to talk about is Fred, who passed away. And I was just
Yeah.
talking to him before this live, and I loved ending on that. And it kind of makes me think of that also, though, Tommy. Like, there is one of my favorite movies, one of my very favorite movies. One of the lines in the movies are little sisters, and she says, like, I don't want to fall in love. They're like 9 or 10 years old, and they're talking about their future. And the other sister goes, I can't wait to fall in love. And that is always how I felt. I love being in love. It is, I have starry eyes. I love that feeling. And I had that feeling with Fred. And
That's awesome.
so I think like it goes back to that, like I've always felt like, who cares? I just grew up in such a nasty household when it came to being in love, who you love. My dad was really ugly about it. And I always felt like that little girl. Yep, guys, you knew it. Oh my God, that's one of my favorite movies, Practical Magic. And I definitely felt like her in that movie. I love falling in love. I recommend it as
I'm
much as I possibly can.
I'm really good at falling in love. I'm horrendous at falling in trust. I don't trust very well. I can fall in love. I'm good at that. I really am. Like I see things in people, and I'm really good at picking out things in people that I find attractive. Sadly, I just have a very difficult time. I have trust issues, like massive, massive trust issues. And sadly, I probably have a couple of reasons too. Some ugly stories in there along the
Yeah.
way, but that's what I struggle with. I don't struggle with falling in love. I struggle with trusting people.
Which is kind of
That's the,
interesting because for me, they go hand in hand. Like, I fall in love, I fall in trust. I don't have a problem trusting, but I also haven't, I've been burned, but I also believe in when you meet a new person that's not going to happen to me. Like, that's not the same as the old person that did that to me. So I give it a new chance. But, I'm only 39. Maybe I will harden and some terrible things will happen to me and I won't feel that way. But
I really hope that that's not the case. I hope that that never happens to you. I lived a very different life, and I regret so much of the things that I've done in my past. Not, I mean, I'm glad that it all happened. It brought me to a place that I'm very comfortable with in life. I think this is where I'm supposed to be. It's probably where I was always supposed to be, kind of a thing. But I still struggle, with yeah. There's just a lot of garbage from the past, Reese, and it makes
I,
for
yeah.
good.
Well, I was gonna say, I understand that. And you are more probably guarding. And so it just comes from stuff that you've probably gone through, right?
The last one, just keeping it really like, here's the, you want the really abbreviated version. The last one that that I trusted, like really trusted emphatically, and actually uh you know, I lived with this person and did the whole 9 yards, and I I literally gave up thousands of days of my life incarcerated so that this person would not get in any trouble for things that they did. And the second, and the second that that happened, you know, they moved in with a drug dealer and stole $70,000 on my name. So that one was tough. The one before that was a little rugged too. I do too. It's not that I don't trust them from Jump Street. It's just that something always happens, and after a couple of those in a row, I just get to, you know. I told you, I think that I got the dear Tommy letter 7 days to the day after getting stabbed and life flighted off of the yard at Victorville. So I was in the shoe when I got the divorce letter. That one was a little rugged too. You know, that one left the mark. So. Yeah.
I don't want to get too personal with you, but this particular individual that you're talking about, don't need to know anything other than, was that person making bad choices, like as far as drugs as well?
Okay. Absolutely.
Yeah, which absolutely. Obviously, I don't know as much about drugs as you do, but I mean, I've done drugs, but when you're on drugs and you're making those bad choices, you're already on a bad path, the way I look at that. Like, you're not going to make healthy choices. So do you find yourself being able to, you know, compartmentalize and go, well, that was that? And like, when you meet a new person that's maybe not on drugs, that has their everything together, do you can you separate the two, or do you just automatically?
To be really honest with you, I struggle with the concept that, that in many of these cases, I may have just destroyed the person personally. Like, a lot of these people, when they met me, they weren't doing these things. You know what I'm saying? So I struggle with that too.
But you were.
Oh yeah, I was. Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
So well, my lifestyle
recipe, right?
Right, but I mean, my lifestyle destroyed their lives. If they had not come into my sphere of influence, I really doubt that these people's lives would have ended up the way they did. There's also something else. I think that deep down, I probably also really struggled to trust myself going forward to do the relationship thing. I have I've really hurt a bunch of people that I've been with, right? And you don't really concentrate too much on that when you're doing it. But if you actually do like that, all of the stuff that they tell you in rehab, if you do like that searching, that really serious inventory of who you are and what you've done, you're going to come to grips with some ugliness. And I don't want to do that anymore either. You know, I just assume not go down that road anymore either. I don't want to be a dirtbag at this point. There's nobody calling me a dirtbag, which took a really long time to get to that junction in life. So I kind of like to roll it.
I kind of get what you're saying. I feel like I can understand what you're saying. You're reflecting on and kind of moving forward, but you realize, like, I can somewhat understand, because I did a little bit of drugs for a little bit of time. I did meth for 2 years. I made some terrible decisions in those 2 years. I made a horrible decision to even start doing it, but that's not who I am now. So I can separate. Yeah. Right? Like, yes, I did a lot of.
I can do that. I do that. To be sure, I'm definitely not the same person. I'm really not. What my fear is this. This is just going to sound awful, but screw it, right? Because we're going to do it. So here's what it came to. There was for a long time in my life, that wasn't about what it should be about, right? That was about one more way of just buying myself like 2 weeks of feeling normal, right? So for me, it was a churn, you know, just on to the next person as fast as possible, kind of a really messed up thing. And I would hate to be drug free and get back into that life, right? Where I somehow get my self-worth by being accepted by someone that will sleep with me. That was a big thing in my life for a really long time. And and when women do it, people call them horrendous names, and when guys do it, no one cares, right? so I never had any friends that went, "Hey, bro, pump the brakes. You're a loser." You know what I mean? Like if I had been a woman, I'm sure somebody would have been like, "Hey, slut, slow down." But as a guy, no one gives you any crap about that. And I did it for a long, long time. And I would not like to fall back into that. It's another fear that kind of lingers in the back of my head.
Can I ask you?
I'm a mess. Go ahead.
When you think of all the times that you have these trust issues, surely there's more than one. Surely there's more than the one you just shared, right? There'd have to be,
Yes.
I would guess, in order for you to feel the way you feel now. So when you think of all those times, were all of those times, were you making bad choices? Were you on drugs? Were you in and out of jail? Were all of those times summed up to that part of your life?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
So fast forward to now, do you, in the last 8 years, 6 months, and 3 days that you've been drug free, do you have any of those? Does that happen? I'm sure there's been a few, right? But like the big ugly part of all those trust things, do those stem from the bad times in your life?
There's been one incident since sober that made me that was completely sober when it happened and sort of rocked trust again. Not nearly, nothing like the degree of the others, but just enough to make you pump the brakes and back up and start wondering if maybe you should just stick with the cat.
Sure. I'm just asking that for also my own benefit, because I have a similar, not similar, but just I have an strong issue with people are going to leave me, and rejection is a big thing for me. And with all the people I've lost in the last year. So I've moved forward going, oh, I don't want to get too close to anybody, because anybody who I end up liking is going to leave me. So I'm trying to separate that and go, well, wait a minute. All the times that somebody left me, I was a Scientologist. So it's similar. It's like all those times that was when I was doing drugs or in and out of jail. That's why I asked you that way. So all the times that I equate, oh, that person's going to reject me, is not now. And this is now. But I tend to go back. So I'm trying to separate the two and go, but hold on, they're not going to leave me, because that's not where we are at this point. We were there, and I don't think that's going to happen. And I need to take more of a chance on that instead of kind of go into my shell and go, no, I don't even want to risk this, because I'm going to get left. I'm going to get left in the dust, and I don't want that to happen to me again. I don't want to get burned again.
No, I think I get that completely too. I really do. I'll tell you something else. So I'm 53 years old, and of those 53 years, from the time I was 13 until the time I was 46, I was on dope, right? And I made a lot of money for a lot of those years, right? I had a career that paid a lot of money. Once that career went sideways and I started, stealing and doing that kind of sort of professionally, right? So that was 46 years of just living the most messed up life you could possibly imagine. Then I got completely sober, right? And viciously sober. I help other people get sober, right? Like the focus of my entire life is sobriety and helping other people try to deal with trauma in their life and things like that. It really kind of has turned my life around. And there was a huge part of me that views women and looks at women as like, that here's one other thing that if I go back, and I'm just keeping it real, if I go back through my life, there have been like 5 times in my life where friends did an intervention, or the company I worked for forced me to go to Betty Ford, or there was something that got me sober long enough to start getting my life back together. Like it was right before rock bottom. Somebody kind of helped me right the ship. I met a girl, and every time it was always I met a girl, we got together, and it was sort of, that was always the explosion that ended up then with me in prison or someplace else, right? I can, if I'm real honest, then I'll never do it on the boat, because I don't want to trash any of these people, or worse, re-victimize any of them that I victimized, right? And I don't mean physically or any of that. I just mean they had to live with me. You know what I mean? Sure. But every great arrest, every great explosion, every great episode had a girl attached to it. There's not one of those episodes in my life that there was not a girl that I was exploding from. And so when I got out and I started to, the first thing you want to do when you get out, I mean, let's keep it real. I'm a guy, you spend a long time, right? So yeah, the first thing you think when you get out, but honestly, like to me, there's almost a superstition thing. There's almost this, I'm scared crapless that if I start to have a relationship that I could lose everything that I've got right now. Like that scares me. I know it's irrational as shit, by the way. I'm not dumb. Like I understand that I'm not rational, and I journal through it and all that, but it's something that the automatic negative thoughts, the ants, right, that crawl on your brain when you're not doing anything. It's one of the reasons that I'm busy as often as I am. Like I slow down and I don't really dig automatic negative thoughts, and they come in, and I got tricks to stave them off or whatever. But I'm absolutely terrified of, and it's not like other guys, like people who are. I dig every aspect of what when a guy says I'm afraid of commitment, I'm not afraid of any of the stuff that goes with it. Like Spanx was the greatest. I had more fun changing my kids' diapers and being a dad and doing all that. Like I was cut out for that. I dug it. I really did. That was so much fun to me. I enjoyed all of that. I loved being a dad. I loved being a father. I like being a homeowner. All of like the square stuff. I dig all of that. But I'm terrified of commitment for other reasons. I'm so afraid of losing what I got right now. And I don't think it's not like I think about it all day, but at times when I start to think about, like the future, I have no problem thinking about the future of the lifeboat. When I think about the future and there's people involved, it scares the crap out of me. And doesn't mean that I'm doing the that's never going to happen thing, because I'm looking. I look at everybody that way. I really do. I look at everybody that way. I watched it with my mom and dad, and they had a great marriage. It was real. It was amazing. Brownie Buttons, Reese, do you mean fear of abandonment? Tommy, I have 3 journals and I can't make a mark in any of them. Of course you can.
Definitely, yes, Brownie Buttons. Fear of abandonment, fear of rejection, for sure. I want to be the first to leave. I don't want to be left. And that's why I always say that, and I think that's why I've never had any true friendships in life. I don't have friends. I don't make friends, and I don't need friends. To me, I don't need that. And I think that's because I don't want to see a good thing going, and I'm afraid I'm going to lose it. So definitely. And just to go back on that, Tommy, I totally get what you say about the irrational thoughts. I was just talking about this on my live a little bit ago. I can totally pinpoint and locate things, and I can go, that makes no sense. Why are you, in Scientology, they call it A equals A-ing it. You're equating it to everything else. By the way, ants, that's what you called it? It's so weird.
Yes.
Scientology, those are called demon circuits. So it's the same thing. I get crazy thoughts in my head and I believe them. Like everybody's going to leave you. You're going to end up with nothing. You should just stay and be unhappy and go through the motions, because otherwise you're going to be poor and broke and nobody's going to like you and your channel's going to fail. All those things go through my mind. And I think, yep, that's the truth. And then I have to go,
so there's 80,000 of them a day. There's 80,000, 60 to 80,000, depending on which study you believe. But 60 to 80,000 times a day, your brain jumps from whatever subjects it's on to the next one, right? Now, it can revisit them, and they say that roughly 80% of those are automatic. In other words, they're thoughts that we have so often. They're the ants, right? Or what did you call them? Demon
circuits.
Okay. So any way you shake it, right? These are making up a huge part of your day. And it's, in addiction, it's something that we struggle with more than anything else. Ants are one of the things that cause a lot of people to relapse. And we spend a lot of time on the boat talking about how to get rid of them and how to cope with them. As far as the journals, just really quickly, yeah, you can. 2 times a day you journal, right? You can journal as often as you want, but you got to do it in the morning and you got to do it at night. And at night, you're just writing down what happened during the day, right? Just sort of trying to take notes. May sound silly. It doesn't need to be flowery. It doesn't need to be anything. You're arranging everything so that when you lay down and go to bed, your subconscious has an easier time processing through what you did in the day. It also helps you remember things that you absolutely have forgotten. And you go, you write down, during the day, somebody pisses you off. More often than not, you don't deal with it. You just have to bottle the thing up, because if you do deal with it and you confront the person or whatever, we're in an office environment or you're in a work environment, and we just go, you know what, I'll just take that and I'll just do it. That eats at you, right? And at the end of the day, if you just go to bed, I promise you, that's going to jack up the whole sleep cycle. In a perfect world, we organize our thoughts before we go to sleep. And when we get up in the morning, we dump everything that we have not dealt with. In other words, you wake up and just write down, as it can be stupid. It can make no sense at all. Mambo dog face to the banana patch. Read it later and your brain will reassemble and you'll go, oh, I remember that dream I had, right? I was sitting next to the pool. I was eating, right? It's bizarre how the brain works, but journaling is, people make it into something. No one needs to read this but you. It doesn't have to be fancy. It doesn't have to be anything. The spelling can be jacked. Trust me. Like my biggest phobia in life is people seeing how I write, but I journal constantly. Sorry. And Tanya. Hi, Reese and Tommy. Absolutely love your lives together. Your conversations are so deep and real. I think so. I think we have fairly deep conversation. So you were a public Scientologist.
Staff, yes? Staff and public.
Okay. Because it occurred to me, I was telling somebody yesterday. No, I was telling somebody today about yesterday. And I said, this was the 1-year anniversary of her leaving Scientology. And the dude was like, oh, she left a year ago? I said, yeah, when AA run, like he had no idea what this story is. I'm like, how many times have you seen me go on this show? You have no. So just briefly, can you give a 60-second roundup to what happened a year ago? Because there are people on my channel, I promise you, that have no idea what happened to you a year ago.
Okay. Born and raised a Scientologist, watched the show, Netflix show Scientology in the Aftermath with Leah Remini. Took me years to watch it because it's a huge deal. If you're a Scientologist and you watch any kind of what's called black PR about Scientology, you get in big, big trouble. I finally took the leap. I watched it. There was no going back. I couldn't unsee what I saw. It broke me. I was mentally a mess. I couldn't stop crying. I reached out to
I can't imagine.
It was pretty bad. I reached out to and I'm not a naturally sad person. I don't really get depressed. And if I do, I bounce out.
No, but that's your whole world, right? That's like, holy crap.
And again, I think seeing the stories, again, in Scientology, I thought I was the only person Scientology didn't work on. I just thought the abuse, the physical abuse, all that stuff that happened, I thought that hasn't happened to anybody except me. Like it works. It just didn't work for me. That's what I believed. And
but in your defense, how many people got hit with a fax machine?
I don't know. I'm sure a lot.
That's pretty rare. I think that's pretty rare.
I don't know. So I watched that show, couldn't pull myself up. I just was such a mess. And again, that's just very unnatural for me. I'm quite bubbly and like able to snap out of things pretty fast. So I reached out to what's called the Aftermath Foundation, which is on the show. They created a foundation for people getting out of Scientology. I couldn't reach out to family because all my family were Scientologists. Because if I reached out to them and said, hey, I'm upset, I saw this, I'd be in huge trouble. They'd rat me out. So I reached out to the foundation, talked to Aaron Smith-Levin, who has a channel. Aaron called me back, and for about 6 months, we chatted. He helped me. It was very therapeutic on what to do, formulating a plan. Aaron was on his big YouTube channel with 250,000 people a year ago yesterday. And I was texting with him about Scientology, and he accidentally did that. And it was like 1/4 of a second, but it flashed my name up. And that was it. I never spoke to my family again. No one said goodbye. I think I lost about 300 people overnight. Never spoke to anybody ever again. So that's what
literally
happened.
Overnight.
So
the next day, how long was it before you realized that the ship had hit the sand, so to speak?
I pretty much knew it. That's a good question. Aaron called me the next day. He called me a year ago today, actually. This happened a year ago today that he called me. I was in my husband's office and Aaron said, hey, I got to tell you. And I could tell he was really kind of spooked about what happened. And he said, I did something. I need to tell you what I did. I think the chances are nil. He was like, I'm sure they don't know. He said, I've edited it out. I did everything I could as fast as I could to get your name off the screen. And I just looked at Jeff and I'm pretty intuitive and I kind of knew. I think I knew, even though he was trying to talk me out of it, he was really trying to talk me out of it. He was like, it didn't happen. He was like, don't lose sleep over this, Reese. It's going to be fine. Everything's fine. And I was like, I was kind of building. I was like, yeah, it's not fine. I just knew. And, I looked at Jeff and I said, well, if this is how I go, this is the end. This is how it happens. And I was shoved out, and that's probably best because I probably would have never done it. And I spoke to my family almost every day, my Scientology family, if not every other day. And I never heard from them again. So I knew within about 2 or 3 days something was wrong. And I reached out to them and I got no answer. And then I got a phone call from a close friend in Clearwater, Florida. And she said, hey, she was like, I just saw your name flash up on this guy's. And it was obvious to me that Flag had prepared her on what to do, coached her on what to say. That was the stupid part, is we're equally Scientologists and have been our whole lives. Like, you're trying to pull one over on me. I know what you're doing, so that didn't work. And that was it. Never talked to him again. Kind of heartbreaking, really. I can't believe it's been a year. But Tommy, I have to say, this is a new year now, and that means a lot to me. That's put some nice space between us, as far as I haven't talked to family in a year. And the gap, that time will continue to grow, and I'll probably feel more and more healed, because time for me does heal. I feel better as time goes on when something traumatic happens.
There's a popular expression that people say, you can't pick your family, and we're really like vocal about it. If there's 3 or 4 things on the lifeboat that people would say is kind of what we preach. One of them is you can pick your family. Like, I have brothers and sisters that I have met online. Alan Ballantyne always jumps to mind, because, Alan comes over from Australia and hangs out with me for 2 weeks. And he's doing it again. He's just booking his travel right now to come back next year. And I love the dude. He's a brother. I couldn't love him anymore if he came from my mom. And I have, 2 children, and one I adopted and the other is by birth. And, for me, that the family thing has always been something that you kind of build. While you were talking, the number of people that were saying you have 17,000 new family members, you have 18,000, new family members. I can't imagine the pain of losing your birth family. I can't. And I know a lot of Scientologists that have gone through, ex-Scientologists, expats, whatever, that have gone through this. And I don't have the capacity to even try to understand it. I really don't. I just know that it's the most horrific thing that I've ever heard, and it makes me want to destroy that place. It really does. It's the thing that keeps me continually crapping on the cult of Scientology. Literally, that's it.
Well, I think it's similar. I appreciate you saying that. I think it's similar to what goes on in your head, though, in a very different way, but it's also the same. We're connected the same way there, as far as you have a hard time moving forward with trust, let's say. I'm having a hard time moving forward in general, because I did lose everybody. And it's rocked me, Tommy. I'm not going to lie. And I actually find myself right now, I probably should talk about this in therapy. I really try to avoid thinking about it, not because I can't talk about it, but just because it's one of those things I kind of like to do something about it. If I have a problem, like I need a solution, I don't have a solution. I'm never going to see it again. And so it kind of makes me spin my wheels and go a little crazy if I start to think about it too much, because I'm like, they're not dead, but they're dead. And it's a weird thing. And I could run. That's why I want to move out of Kansas City, honestly, because I don't want to run into any of these people. There's 300 of them. And I'm sure it's bound to happen. And I do want to answer Brianna Williams' question real quick. She said, because it's kind of important. She said, what made you watch the Netflix show? That's a good question, because as a Scientologist, I cannot articulate enough to you. You are not allowed. It is a big deal. If you even read a headline standing at the grocery store on the National Enquirer about Scientology, you are not supposed to look at that stuff. It's a huge deal. You know the stakes and consequences. If you do that, you're getting what's called security checked, and you got to go through a lot of hours that you have to pay $500 an hour for to get security checked and racked. It's awful. I've had hundreds of hours of it.
500 an hour?
It might even be more now. I think it's actually 900 an hour. It's expensive, and it's on your dime, brother. So her asking me that is important, because I have my mother, my birth mother, and my birth sister live in Nashville. Okay. And they've been out of Scientology since the 90s. I stayed in.
Oh.
So I would go visit them every summer, and my mom's got a really nice house with a pool, and we would just hang out all summer. And every summer for years, they would sit me down and they would corner me and they would go, please, 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 just let us go put on one episode. We just want you to see one episode. It's amazing. And I would go, I'm changing my plane reservation and I'm going home. If you don't even, I can't even talk about this. Like, I'm not allowed to even talk about it. I'm going to get in huge trouble for even talking about it. So it was a huge deal for me to finally, I had one friend, no longer a friend, in Kansas City that called me one day when we bought this house 3 years ago, and I quit my job during COVID, my corporate job, and I was just home. And she said, I know how touchy this is for you, but I did watch that show. And she said, you may want to just, since you don't work anymore, you may just want to pop on an episode, see if you can handle it. And I was like, kind of in a different place. Yeah. And I watched one episode and I don't think I blinked. I watched the entire, I binged it. And then I cried for like straight. So that's how that happened. And I just kind of wanted to answer that because it's a huge deal. You can talk about that in Scientology. It's you guys, you don't understand. You are not allowed to look at that stuff.
Do you, I don't understand that either. And again, it puts me in a position that I'm fascinated by this subject. And I hate saying that out loud because I know it's your life. You know what I mean? Like people say all the time, oh, a lot of people are really, really interested in the inside, like what happens when you go to prison. And it's a phenomenon when you first leave prison that every single person you meet has an hour and 45 minutes worth of questions. And I think much in the very same way as what, you go through, I'm just coming to grips with the PTSD of what I did for the last 10 years of my life. Like every single one of those days was horrific. And sadly, as soon as you get out, everyone goes, so tell me about this, 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 and this. And I understand that it's a fascinating subject to people. And now, after literally years of just talking about this, I don't care at all. But in the beginning, it was hard. I look at everybody that doing what you do it's got to be difficult. I see similarities, I guess, in another similarity between.
I think the difficult part's done, don't you? Talking
on
about
your
it.
end?
Yeah. I lost everybody. It's over.
I'm really curious. What happened that day that made you say, this is the day I'm going to watch this? What was the catalyst because I do know, like I had friends that I worked with in the public speaking stuff. I've talked to you about this privately. And like, anytime I brought up anything, like Reese is not kidding. And these were guys that I partied with. These were guys that like we ripped off tons and tons of money together.
Huxley. I missed him. Hey, can you hear me? Can you put the clothes in the dryer? I'm so sorry, but I need him to do this for me. Can you please go put the clothes in the dryer? I've been waiting for you to get home.
This is what makes YouTube cool.
Do you mind? Thank you, son. So sorry,
Reese,
guys.
do you think you might still want closure, says Blake?
I don't know. I don't think so, Blake. And I want to answer your question, Tommy. That was very important, and I hate that I had to just stop us. What made me do it? Closure, Blake, isn't really an option. They're gone. I mean, I got more closure with my husband that died. He got to say goodbye to me, and we got to spend hours together on hospice of him saying, I love you. You were the love of my life, all that. I got to at least, closure means everything for me. I wished and I'd hoped that they would have sent me some sort of communication saying, you know what you did, you're evil, and you are never going to be talked to in this family again. We are cutting you off. That would have meant the world to me. Actually, it was much harder to just go silent by the door. So, but what made me watch it? I think just the approach that girl, it wasn't coming from my mom and sister. It was coming from a friend. And she was very non-pushy, right? Like my mom and sister were literally cornering me, getting out of the pool. And they were like, we have an episode on pause. Let's just watch it. I don't like being pushed. You know what I mean? Like they weren't asking me. They were kind of telling me.
Right.
And I was saying, I'm on vacation. Like I'm not here to do this. And I don't want the trouble of having to go back and sit there holding the cans for 17 hours straight with a flashlight in your face going, what do you know? Where were you? Who was there? Who missed it? That's what they do. And it is draining and it's awful. It's not worth watching it. So
it's what scared me away. As I've told you, and I think I talked about it once when I was on with Aaron. You know, I got invited to a gathering where they brought in big gun Scientologists. To you know, the idea was to try to get me to do some public speaking for the cult of Scientology. But I got to meet some Scientologists, and I held the cans. Went through the whole thing. What terrified me, honestly, I mean, at first, when I found out they weren't paying in cash, I said no. But over the course of the time that I worked with these guys, I thought it was fascinating. And the communication stuff in the beginning, I knew some public speakers that were taking it, and they seemed to get some benefit out of it. But what scared the crap out of me is when I would say things like, "Hey, I saw something that, you know, made me question," and these were professional speakers. Right? These are guys that communicate way the hell better than I do. And they freak out. It's honestly like they think there's a cop standing nearby ready to testify to whatever they're about to say. I mean, it honestly felt like that vibe, like when you go to do a drug deal with somebody and they don't trust you. You know, I would do something up and they'd be like trying to change the subject, or just so uncomfortable that it would freak me out. Because these are guys that, you don't make guys like that uncomfortable. They're public friggin' speakers. You know, like how do you make a public speaker uncomfortable?
Yes.
You know?
Yeah, I see that. And I see also that Kestrel's asked the same question twice. Steve, no, they don't really put a flashlight. It's a figure of speech. Like they're in your face. You're not, the door is locked and you ain't going nowhere. You can't even go pee. Did you ever lie to get out of a sec check? Not really. When you're on the meter, when you're on the cans, it's really hard to do that. And I don't know. I'm sure I don't think I lied, but I'll tell you, there's a way on the meter. The only way you're getting out of there is if what's called your needle floats, and the person who's operating the meter says, "Thank you very much, your needle floated." That's a good sign that you're done, that you can get the heck out of there. So there were times that I would hold the cans and sit there and just smile and fake it and go, "I feel so much better." And I would think about like the happiest moment in my life, or imagine a happy moment. Like maybe one day, you know, good things will come.
Tommy's going to bust out that fur coat.
My polar bear will come for me. Yes, Tommy. Yes, I would sit there and do that, but it never worked. It never worked. I could not fake a floating needle to save my life. So
okay.
It just wasn't worth it. But when the girl said, she was very non-threatening, and she was like, "Hey, look, if you can stomach it," she was like, "I know your past, and it seems like there's some things that kind of coincide with this show." And she was like, "Now that you don't have your day job anymore and you're home, maybe you could make time." And so I think it took me a few days, and I was like, I don't know. Okay, let me see. And I think I was going through Netflix and I saw it. And I was like, oh, fine. Let's just see what the heck the big deal is. And again, guys, sobbing. Couldn't control anything. Couldn't be a mom. Couldn't do anything for a good week.
And there's no point of perspective, by the way, people. Again, I just have made a lot of friends in the expat Scientologist community. And the more that they're, and most of them are excellent communicators. They all think they're uneducated, but all of them are amazing communicators. And the thing that always comes through that I don't think any of us can wrap our brain around is you think that, okay, well, I'm leaving this, this church. You're leaving your world, right? What cults do is they pare everything away so that your entire world, your entire point of reference, everything is the cult, right? All of your friends, all the people you know, all of the things that happen. So when a disconnection happens, it's not just you're not going to church on Sunday. We don't have perspective the same way. It's everything's gone, right? A language that you speak now doesn't really benefit you at all because, right, no one in the real world speaks it. And there is you guys do really have a complete language. I get tripped out when 2 or 3 of you are together, or like having a fast conversation about things, and I'm into it. I know a lot of it, and I can't follow it.
No, it's totally different. It's different words. It's a totally different language in Scientology. If you actually switch over and start talking to a Scientologist, that was one of the reasons I had such a hard time once I watched There was a really good question just a second ago, and I can't click on it. Dang it. Oh, how did they know? I'll answer that in a minute, Nancy. That was one of the reasons, Tommy. I don't like, believe this or not, I don't like being fake. I don't like faking anything, and I mean anything, guys. You know what I mean?
Wait, women fake those?
Not this one. Not this one.
I've never met one.
Good for you. Congratulations. I don't fake. I'm pretty upfront. That's one of the reasons I wasn't a good Scientologist, because I was pretty upfront with how I felt about everything. I was in trouble a lot. So I had a hard time at that point after I watched the show and Aaron was holding my hand, you know, trying to help me through it. It was hard for me to go to the org or talk to my family, because you switch over to being a full Scientologist and you go over into that terminology and lingo. And it was hard. I would get off the phone and I would look at Jeff and I would go, I can't do this anymore. I can't do this. I felt like Leonardo DiCaprio in The Departed, although, like I say, he was way cooler, but I felt like I was undercover and I just was like, this is too much pressure. I can't do it. I can't do it. I don't want to listen to it anymore. It's fake. And I didn't know that. So what was that person's question that I said I wouldn't forget? How would they know? I think that how would you know?
Oh, how would they know? Yeah. How would they know?
Because you're constantly security checked. Whenever you go in to do any kind of anything in Scientology, especially if you're a seasoned Scientologist and you know how it all works, they perform and operate a list and they put you on the meter and they say, have you talked to anyone? Have you seen any kind of mental health expert? Have you talked to the government? There's a specific list of questions on the meter. And they say, are you connected to anyone in your family that's trying to get you out? Have you watched anything? They have very specific questions that you got to go get that list done. So we learn real quick, it's much easier to just get on a plane and go home when you're visiting family than argue it out with them, because even doing that's going to come up on the meter. Like, did you talk to anyone? Well, yeah, technically. Tell me about that. When was it? Who was there? Who saw it? Who missed it? What'd you say? So it's like, yeah, no.
Yeah. It's terrifying to me. It really is. And for those of you who are not aware of the cans really are about a low rent, lie detector test for all intents and purposes, right? Galvanic response and shit.
And I think, guys, that's why I probably am the way I am. That's why I don't have any boundaries. That's why a lot of people don't like me, because, this damn thing. It's so silly nonsense.
Give me one of these, though. Can I get one of these?
Do it. Yes.
Ooh, that was the best.
Very lion's mane looking. It's what was I saying? I don't remember.
You were explaining that.
I think that's why I am the way I am, as far as people don't like. They don't do it as much anymore, because I think you guys know me really well. And the ones who don't like me have left, which is good. They took care of themselves. But for a while there, I was getting a lot of emails of people going, you don't have any boundaries and it's really a problem. And have we met? I don't have any boundaries because you don't. You're constantly ratted on by husbands, wives, kids. There is no secrecy, and you got to give up everything. You're on that meter, and you got to give up every bad thought you've ever had. Not only that, you got to go past life, guys. Not just this life. They pull past life stuff. What'd you do? What'd you do then? What'd you do to your dad in your past life? Tell us about that. Oh, okay. So you're a real bad person. So you got to go. It's not just this life. So I think that's one of the reasons I'm so open, and I don't have a problem talking about anything. And it's a problem for some people. It's a trigger. And I get that. And I apologize to you right now.
When I was when I was running my my scams with the people that happened to be Scientologists and OT8s at the time, I don't think they were OT8, but they were doing the OT stuff. But so this he's married, and his wife is obviously also a Scientologist, and they're both on the OT levels. But she turned him in to Scientology for what I did with him when we were out there. So And he didn't really do anything wrong. I did. Like they flew me out to LA and I don't know squat at this point in my life about Scientology, right? So we're making like 20 grand a week with this dude, right? We're making a lot of money. He flies me and he gives me a limo and everything else. And like I show up, I'm like, woo, get a mirror, right? We're doing lines. Like walked into the house and his wife went, like got this look on her face, like, who's this dude, right? And I got, and when we're talking on the phone, like every other word out of his mouth is an F-bomb. And he talked about, you know, he had a wicked problem with heroin for a long time, but he got sober through narcan, you know, whatever that thing is, you know, the L. Ron Hubbard sobriety sweat out thing. Anyway, so we went out and I got him polluted just on alcohol. He didn't do any drugs, but I got him really hammered, right, at House of Blues. And he may have vomited all over himself on the way home, but like she went and turned his ass in. And when we were talking later, I was like, hey, I'm coming out. He's like, oh yeah, you can't come by here, bro. That's never happening again. And I was like, yeah. What the hell do you mean? Well, we're making huge money. I was like, what are you talking about? I'm not coming by. Like, of course I'm coming by. He's like, no, you don't get it, bro. We're done. We do business.
Not only did he pay a price with his wife, which you don't ever want to have to do anyway, he had to pay a price with the church. Yeah, he was not going to have that again. Once you do that, you learn real quick to it's just easier to not be yourself. It's easier to be.
Funny thing is, and the really funny thing is, he was asked to be a best man or one of the groomsmen. I was the best man, but one of the groomsmen at a wedding, he was out in the tux, all that. His wife came out for that one too, and they rented a rent-a-car for it. And I used the rent-a-car. I said, can I borrow the rent-a-car briefly? I left things in the rent-a-car that caused all kinds of problems once again with the wife, and he got turned in again. Yeah.
Tommy Scoville.
I know, right? I guarantee you he must just hate me. And he can't hear any of the things I'm talking about him because I have smutted him up on a bunch of channels, but he can't hear any of it. So.
Not acting right. You're not acting right.
Tucking your mares. Oh, that's too funny.
What's funny? I want to laugh.
Hold on one second.
Okay, well, I'll read the question. Going back to my dream question from Rabbit's show, would an auditor handler share a person's ruin with another auditor to help manipulate a situation? Oh, 100%. That kind of information is shared all the time. You want to get that ruin. You want to get it bad. Yes, definitely, Bo Beats. When I married Jeff, it's very frowned upon to marry someone who is not a Scientologist. And I said this in my last live. It's okay as long as you convert him. And so my in-laws, for instance, were pulling that string. Oh, you like when I flip my hair, Brisby Tales? Your wife was in here last night, man. Don't make me fall for it again. I got caught last night flirting with you. What was I saying?
You flirt?
Hmm?
You flirt?
Only with you, big
I haven't
guy.
seen it. I have not had so much as one heart the entire evening. All right, now let it roll. See, that's all you gotta do. And then you do this one, then you let it go. There you go. See that? Oh, that's just cool. I can't do any cool things.
I just flirted with. I don't know. You need to get an app. Wow. Look at his paddles.
Oh yeah, I can do that. What's up?
A lot. Those are some. Yeah, we just need to see the
bear
bear
the whole screen.
I don't remember what I was saying.
You know what?
This
Stephen,
is because
I am an SP, so I don't think that I could reach out to that person. If I tried to ask that person for forgiveness.
You're not an SP. You can't be an SP. You weren't a Scientologist.
I assure you, he would be terrified to speak to me. I make videos that talk poorly about him and his. I called the video that he did on what?
His wife's here now. I'm not falling for it, Brisby Tales. You can't be an SP.
Fill the screen.
You can't be an SP, babe. You're not.
Wait, what is this? What are you saying, Bo Beats? She's crazy. I realized Tommy and I had a Reese dream on the same night. I don't remember Tommy sharing his dream. How do you know I had a Reese dream on what night? What are you talking about?
I was gonna say, did you say that once on a live?
I'm pretty sure that I didn't. What's going on around here?
Did you have?
Look,
Wait a minute.
if I had a Reese dream, I probably wouldn't cop to it here.
Oh, you actually did say you had a restream. I remember that, and I said, "Tell us what it was," and you said no.
Oh, well, that would explain it.
See,
See,
everybody's
that's the
saying
problem with
that.
this honesty crap. I'm telling you, it just gets back to you know.
You know, Tommy, we're an hour in, and I kind of need you to dial up the flirt anyway. What was the dream about?
Oh no, we're not doing that. We're not
We're
doing
not?
that. Actually, I'm going to be terribly honest with you. It was not a romantic dream. We were eating. We were hanging out and just breaking bread and eating at a cafe, and then talking about how it was so bizarre that we were together. Isn't this strange? That kind of thing. But
What
I
was?
didn't
What did I
knock
have?
anything to the floor.
Did I
Like
have like
dump all of the stuff.
Was I eating a cup of
Sorry?
soup? That sounds good in a cafe. What was I eating?
I don't remember if we even had food. I think we may have just had coffee.
Oh, I like that even more. That's very French. I like it.
It was nice. You were nude.
Okay. Well, then I was arrested. Hockey guy, you can be undeclared, my friend. Yes, you can. A lot of steps you got to go through, but yes.
Oh, wait. Sober people.
Blake.
Isn't that the same acronym?
That's a real mood killer. Blake, that is a mood killer. Yeah. Okay. What did he say?
LPs. Long plays. You're no longer SPs, but henceforth LPs. Loved persons. Y'all better remember that now. Here, Blake, I
We're going to
remember
see these
everything
hands.
that you say. Everything. I'm sorry?
I love Blake. Blake likes to, he likes to say, or somebody's going to catch these hands. He's very threatening. He's protective of me. He's very protective.
Apparently he's got hands too, right? Or he wouldn't say that.
Hopefully he has hands. That would be weird. How would he be typing his comments if he didn't have hands?
It's a fella expression, meaning that he's might have used these before, kind of a thing. It's a dude's got hands, right? It means that. Anywho, were you eating cheese enchiladas today?
Not in a cafe, Super Pop. No, that's why I said maybe like a cup of soup, a little salad. But I kind of like Tommy's version. I hope that I was drinking like a chai, like a warm chai. Or some
you could have been. Are you one of those people that when you order a beverage at Starbucks, it sounds like a football player getting ready to, you know what I mean? Like I hate those orders that inevitably, anytime I date anyone who drinks something at Starbucks, the order when they write it out is this long. And I always feel like an idiot up there ordering the chai, extra hot, no ice, right? And there's like 40 other things, no dairy. She wants the milk, but it's got to be almond milk. And she would like a cucumber in there, but it needs to be bruised slightly, just on the left side. I don't know why I'm saying any of these things. On 3. Go. Right? It's just the most ridiculous crap in the entire world. Is that not what happens? I mean, it's the truth. And they look at me with that look like, oh, dude, are you picking tampons on the way home? I am. I'm stopping for tampons.
You better be willing to do that.
I am. I'm way more willing to do that than I am the order at Starbucks. I'm telling you, man. Like hey man, can I get some coffee? Maybe a couple of packets of that sugar in the raw. I'm out the door, right? Not that. Okay, I want a mocha fapa. Yeah.
But to me, it's kind of cool because at least it makes you feel kind of cool, like you have a girlfriend. They know you do. They know it's not for you. So unless it's for your mom, I guess. But let me just tell you so that you do know. I like a grande, extra hot. You did get that right. I do extra hot chai with 1 pump cinnamon dolce. But however, in the summer, we can do that iced, or we can do an iced grande caramel macchiato with only 1 shot. So it's not that bad.
Once again, it just can't be a cup of coffee. It has to be a fancy cup of coffee, and then it needs moderations to that because it's not quite fancy enough. I'm not saying you. I'm saying you. I'm saying every single woman on planet Earth.
Tommy,
no, all of you.
Doesn't it kind of fit the bill? I like to be fancy. So, I mean, do I look like just a cup of coffee with some sugar in the raw packets kind of girl? No.
No,
We're
not
going
so
to
much.
complicate.
And in all honesty, I do triple shot of espresso on ice. That's my order, actually.
Okay.
And there's
Okay.
probably at least one person here that has ordered that for me at one time or another.
If we
Anyone
ever
here
have
who knows me, that's what I.
if we ever have the opportunity, I will get you that coffee.
Tell me you don't love that.
It's pretty cool. It does make
that's
me
wicked cool. That's
really
wicked cool.
Yeah.
I can just hear Ozzy in the background.
Yeah, it was pretty cool.
Going off the rails in a crazy dream. Oh,
I like that a lot.
sorry.
This was fun
I have a
tonight.
guitar on the wall I could grab.
You were a little more subdued. I'm going to assume it's because you didn't get any sleep last night. You were partying. But
Subdued? Moi?
I really want you to bring the flirt next time. Okay. I'm going to need it. I want you to dial it up. Just dial it up a little more. You know what I require at this point. I am high maintenance.
I am beside myself to think that that I had not. Wow, hippie chick! What a nice thing to say. I'll have you know, I was heading into the closet to end the show because we were right at the 1 minute mark. I was going in there to remove all of my garments and put on my furry coat to come out with my cool hat on. And I was going to do the. But since you've now hurt my feeling.
Okay. This may be our last show, guys, because he's more sensitive than I am. Nice meeting you all. And
do you know what this is? No, she told you about this earlier in the show. Remember, this is where Reese is nervous that Tommy isn't going to play with her anymore, so she's going to push Tommy away. This is usually the time where she goes, "Well, I know you've got a lot you have to do, and you don't want to be hanging out with me anymore."
That sums it up. That sounds right.
Always want to be hanging out. Always want to be staying longer, just so that you know you're wrong. Yet again, but we're doing more people. In fact, I think we should do 2 a week at least. Don't you guys think so? Huh? I'm putting this up for a vote real quick. We'll be doing this the democratic fashion right now. A lot of you have reached out actually and asked if we would be willing to do more than 1 show a week. So I said to her, "Hey, what do you think? More than 1 show a week?" And she said, "Do you think we should just give the people what they want?" And I said, "Do you know what these people want?"
I definitely like to do it more than once a week. Yes. Oh, a show? Yeah, I think we should do a show twice a week.
Well, we're going to have to work that around Friday, because if it's going to be more than once a week, we need to get it near that Friday day. You know what I'm saying? I'm just saying. You don't want that thing able to plane a door. Right? Like 60 grit. Right? 40 grit, something like that.
There it is.
Is it me?
Finally.
Is it me?
He
it's
came
Penelope,
around.
isn't it? It's not me.
Yeah. Yes, finally.
That's right. I remembered her name. And can we get a few votes for paddles and flaps?
We dialed it up at the very end, but I'm glad he was here tonight. Finally, he showed up.
Did you get the paddles and flaps?
Yeah, flaps and paddles.
I assume I'm bringing the paddles.
Fladdles?
Paddles.
I know I just made it one word.
I see what you did. Like they did. We had some funny ones last night with.
Yes. We flirt argue. We flirt argue. So somebody said we flargue, and I thought that was pretty cute.
We don't argue. Reese is naughty. There's no question.
100%.
It's her. It's not me. I think we got that. By the way, everybody, I was staying here until midnight, but Reese apparently doesn't want to hang out with me anymore. It is what it is. But we will be. Are we doing more? Everybody would like that. We got a yes, yay. I'll flirt with both of you. We got that one. That's a good one. Bullseyes, 3 of them.
It's that passive aggression.
This is unanimous. I've not seen anybody say, no, I don't want to see you do that. Oh, there's the one. We're sick of you guys. There is one. No, I'm kidding.
They'll say it after the live. They say it after. The hurtful comments come after because they're too weak to do it in, because they'll get eaten alive. I have an army, and my army will eat them alive if anybody comes at me. So it's not going to happen during, but it will happen after. Yes, but it is that passive aggression that we need to work on, don't we?
We get a vote, but only if it's flaps and paddles. Apparently, we would have to call it flaps and paddles in order to do that. Flabbles. Flabbles. Imagine the thumbnail. Right? We'll do a split screen on an angle like this. I will take my selfies tonight. You take yours. Send them in. I'll put them together. Get that all dialed in with some nice script.
Yes, yes, I like this a lot. I
Reese,
like
Tommy
yeah,
is throwing you an anchor. Grab it. Did you hear that?
hockey
I'm not
guy. I love
sure if that's
hockey
a
guy.
good thing. He's not throwing you an anchor. Grab it.
He's throwing an anchor at me.
Right? Just
Yes, I love the
resell us
retailer.
Scoville.
Yes, I love that. I love that. And I love our, if we are going to do a show more than once a week, I feel like we should wear our coats, at least for part of
Hey,
it.
look, if you're willing to come back and do 2 a week, I will sport the coats. I think we should work out a good thumbnail. Maybe get together for you know, I would be remiss. I'm sorry to interrupt myself, but I would be remiss if I did not say that I happened to see a picture of you smiling yesterday, and I saw a picture from a year earlier, and I thought,
Yeah,
what
I
a
see
difference a
my
year
Facebook
makes.
group, made that. And so I screenshot it and sent it to you.
I
And
love
it's,
that.
I did too. It said how it started and how it ended. And it was so cute. And I looked so much like I talked in the Facebook group about it. I said, I looked like I was in a cage. I looked horrible. I looked sickly, unhealthy, puffy. Like I just looked terrible. And wow, what a difference.
Do you know what's really funny? So Robert King says Tommy needs Aaron's captain's hat. Aaron's captain's hat was the original lifeboat captain's hat. I gave that to him as a gift, but I wore that hat for a long time. Actually, that was a thing. I used to wear this all of the time on the boat, but Reese doesn't like it, so
Yeah, it really doesn't do anything for me. Excuse me while I take a
apparently
moment.
Reese is not fond of it.
How it started, how it
Yes,
ended.
that is it.
Look
Isn't
at how
that awesome?
we are in our coats. Like I just can't get over. This was my favorite. Somebody sent me this. This was my favorite scene last night. This is the cutest thing I've ever seen in my life.
That really is. That really is one of the. I
Tommy
believe I
is
was I
cute.
asking you in for a hug at that point? Is that what I was doing? Was that
Yes.
the point at which I said, "Come on in here, come in here and get a hug"?
Yes, and I feel exactly the same way. I just got a
I
little
had the
bit of chills
big
in a good way.
furry
Lightning.
furry coat on. Tell me you don't want to hug with furry coats on.
I
Captain
do.
Stu Big vibes. Yes, well there is the Captain Stu Big vibes.
I want to fly to your airport just so you'll pick me up in that coat.
Done. Done. You can
Can
fly
you?
into either. You can come into Tucson International, or you can fly into Sky Harbor, which is in Phoenix, and I will don the coat for either.
I
There you
love
go.
that so much.
Amazingly, I had two. Can you wrap your brain around that? I had two of them that were identical. Well, they were almost identical. One was a little bit bluer, if that makes sense. Like the color of it had slightly more of a. It was actually probably the nicer of the two coats, but I sent it to somebody that was a crew member of the lifeboat. And I kept the whiter of the two.
You know what you need with that coat, though? A lot of people messaged me about it. Tommy, I have so many messages about us in
A
those
large
coats.
gold chain
Yes, but rings. You need some big rings with that thing
on the
on.
pimp hands. Do you have any idea what it's like trying to find a ring that fits my finger? For real. Like this is a 14.
You wear
My ring size. I wear a 14. It's like yeah, it's
you wear a size 14 ring.
I do.
Do they even make that?
They do. I have a friend, believe it or not, that wears a 17.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
That's crazy. That's really crazy. Yeah, everybody screenshot that. That was just too cute. He was so cute.
That was a pretty cool night.
Yes, Nicole, that's loud, right? He's so cute in that coat. So we have to see it again at some point, and I'm only going to agree to a show if you'll do it at some point.
You name the night, and I'm there.
Okay.
Dastardly Saboteur says, I wear a 6. I'm not sure that's a ring. Are you sure it's a ring? That seems awfully small. Okay.
Yeah. That's right. I'm a 6.5 or 7 on my ring finger.
It's also not bad.
That's cute, Kim. I like it. It's clever. There's so many. The sky's the limit on this. As long as he's dials up that flirt, we could really play with this, and I like it. I like it a lot.
Yeah, no, I'm absolutely willing to do that, and more than happy to do that. How big is my foot? 13.
That's insane. That's a lot. On that note,
All right. Then. Do you know who I have with me?
look at his paddle.
You're probably going to be surprised, but sitting here all evening, being the angel that she is. That's right. Throw those. Oh, look at that. This is a cat in a basket. Xylazine. This is a new drug that eats skin and leaves big holes. It is being mixed into a drug called fentanyl, and they're marketing it under the name Trank. It is an epidemic in the Northeast. It's been busted in all 50 states. Yeah, it's a really, really serious drug. We've had 2 people on the lifeboat overdose and die on it so far. It's a very, very ugly drug. Narcan doesn't bring you back. And if you get addicted to it, cold turkey can kill you because xylazine acts as a benzodiazepine. So you can't quit it cold turkey. It will literally kill you. Dangerous drug. Don't take any pills that are marked M30. They're all counterfeit. 60% or more than 2 milligrams and can kill you. 350 people a day are dying on this crap. Please don't xylazine or Trank or any of that crap. Please, I promise. It's bad stuff.
That's
all right,
really
sorry. That was a bummer to end on, but here, let's do this again. This is a cat in a basket. Eh? Good night, everybody. Reese, it is always such an honor. And the next time we do this, we'll go over and do it on your channel, and I will bring my fur coat.
Please bring that. Dial up the flirt. I want you to be thinking with that. And I'll see you then.
This.
Bye, everyone.
All right, throw me one more of these for the road, would you?
Happy New Year, everybody.
That is so cool. I'm sorry. That is the coolest thing I have ever seen.
It is pretty cool.
All right.
Bye, guys.